Okay. Green lights. We got the mic going, everybody. I'm just going to move the mic a little bit. Hopefully there. Okay. Hey, everyone. Bahzad here.
I'm Raisa.
And we are here live from the intergalactic headquarters of Naked Famous Denim in Yokohama, Japan. Almost screwed that up. But I didn't. Welcome to the Naked Famous Denim live stream, the largest raw denim-related live stream in the entire universe, the most popular one as well. Glad to be here with you guys. I hope you're glad to be with us.
Yes.
Today's going to be a fun one. We've got some previews, a good preview. I'm going to apologize in advance right now because I'm going to make your wallets hurt.
Oh.
This is going to be a popular one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I see these and I'm like, God, these are going to be good. These are going to be good. And they're going to be good. So we got a good preview for you coming up. I know, suspense. We're going to draw it out. So you got to watch the whole thing. We've got some fun questions to answer. I had a fan reach out with some, I guess they're working on a school project, and they reached out with some questions, and I thought, hey, you know what? This would be fun to answer on air. Mm-hmm. So we're going to answer some of these questions about the history of raw denim in Japan, or rather, the history of denim and jeans in Japan. So we're going to answer some of those questions. We've got a look back at the spring-summer 2011 collection. So we'll take a look at that today. Of course, we're going to answer your questions here. I'm sure we're going to get off into some off-topic comments. Mm-hmm. You know it. You name it. You know it. I don't know what I'm saying, but we're going to say a lot of it today. So let's check in with the live chat. You know what I didn't do? I didn't tell people on Instagram that we're live. It's okay. They'll figure it out.
I think they're aware at this point.
They're aware, hopefully. But let's check in with the chat. Let's see what's going on in there, and then we'll jump into things. Mm-hmm. We'll jump into things. We've got Austin. Hello from Colorado. It would be fun if Austin was checking in from Austin, but he's checking in from Colorado. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you here. BD. Hello from the Niagara region. Okayama Spirit MIJ 10s on today. Broken Twill to get cozy in tonight. Fantastic. Nice. It's been a long time since I've been to Niagara Falls, the Niagara region.
Yeah. I went there as a child.
Yeah.
Once.
I've been there a bunch of times.
To look at the falls.
Sometimes me and my buddy would just drive up there.
It's amazing that it's, something like that. It's just there.
Yeah.
In the driving distance.
It was relative driving distance. I just remember, with a bunch of different groups of friends, sometimes in my younger days, you might have nothing to do someday. You're like, want to go to Niagara Falls? Okay. Hop into the car, go to Niagara Falls, and that was your day. It's a fun day.
That's cool.
Go to Casino Niagara, lose a few bucks, win a few bucks, whatever it was. I did not have much money to lose, so
good.
I haven't lost much there, thankfully. Topher Cobra, greetings from California. Welcome. Rice W5, hello from Birmingham, UK. Jake Crodinger, I'm sure I'm screwing that up, but welcome from Los Angeles. C. Sheffield, UK has arrived. We got Edward Mendez, hello from Chicago. Nina Arfi, Waterloo, Ontario. Welcome. All right, great to see so many familiar faces and some new faces in the crowd as well. Melody Murray, hello from Tucson. Welcome, good to see you here. NV, wearing the MIJ 11s, the most beautiful fabric I've ever seen. Yeah, I've been seeing some people's reactions to their MIJ 11 arrivals. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying them. I've also seen, one thing with the MIJ 11, there were a lot of interesting comments just out and about. Some on Instagram, some on forums, and some people they saw the price and they're like, "What? These are Naked Famous denim jeans. What's going on here?" And
right.
just the disconnect between, like, I see the price, I see the product, and then perhaps nobody reading the product copy or the blog post or watching the video, and just like the explanation of what's going on here, and just the instant rage that it caused some folks. Not every, there were some, mostly everybody got it, but which I think, but some people just really freaked out on that one, and I was like,
I mean, the price is out there if you're just looking at the price.
Yes.
But price of anything is, you know, it's just, I mean, I guess you have to understand it. It is just a pair of jeans.
it is just a pair of jeans. I get it.
Yes.
Look, I get it.
And that it is, to some people, are incomprehensive to spend so much.
But this is, I'm going to interrupt you, and yes, to some people it's incomprehensible that they would spend that much on jeans, but at the same time, we're in a community that we're already spending probably more on jeans than the average person, and we're looking at fabrics that are, we know that there's more going into this fabric, which is part of what we're paying for here, right?
It's true. You're not, like, it's not a random person commenting. Right. It's a person who this news reached to,
right?
Which is,
generally the raw denim community. So yeah, some folks might be newer in the community than others. Maybe they don't understand it completely, and I will completely acknowledge that it is a lot of money for a pair of jeans. But you're not just buying, it's not just a commodity. It's obviously, it's all the work that goes into it. We were talking to a friend the other day, and they were really into pottery. And they were explaining that, they were spending a lot of money. They got into it. They got obsessed with it. And like a lot of us, we find a new hobby. We find a new interest. You kind of just deep dive and then you start to understand what goes into making these items. And, you might see a clay mug or something like that, and it might be $100 or $200. And it's a lot. But it's also the art that goes into it. And it's not just the mug anymore. And I think for anybody out there who makes things, right? You and the people who kind of understand what you do get it, and then there are people who are outside who may not completely understand it. But I just find it weird that the people who are maybe more on the inside of the community who miss the message. I can get it, like, hey, that's outside of my price point, but I understand it. But the people who are like, that's just, they're just pulling this price out of the sky. I'm like, I don't know, man. It just seems odd that those kinds of comments come in. It's the same, in my opinion, as like the folks who wear raw denim to fade and then are miffed when like a hole appears somewhere, right? They're like, how is it that I've worn these jeans for 6 months straight every single day, and now there's a hole, and never washed them, and there's a hole in the crotch? And I'm like, I think you answered your own question, right? Like, so it's just, it's odd. Yeah. Anyhow, let me know what you guys think. It's were you offended by the price point of the MIJ11s?
Right. And then, I mean, it's not for everybody. I certainly didn't buy it, but it's one of those things where, like, you can appreciate the art without being, like, it's just...
Yeah, trying to slam it.
Yeah. It's like, okay, like, I might not understand, or you might not understand why it gets so up in the price, and you might not be interested in learning about it, but then don't just be, like...
Yeah.
So negative about it, because the reason we make it is because we don't think it's a ripoff, and we think that certain amount of people will understand it and appreciate it, and we obviously tried our best to have the best price possible for this without us losing money.
Yeah. Ashley O'Connor writes, first off, hey from Raleigh, hey. Risa, love the overalls. And then NV writes, the price was lower than you had originally expected. In the earlier streams, you said it would be closer to $1,000, so it was a win. That's true. The price was actually a little bit, I think, originally it was probably going to be closer to $1,000. And then I was pretty confident they were going to be like 800 and like 80 around there, that price point. And then I remember we looked on the website, we're like, oh, 788.
Yeah, because we decided.
Yeah. We did one thing. One thing that we were able to do to kind of keep the price a little bit lower. Number one, we ourselves took just a smaller margin on that one. Sometimes when we do these kind of these more expensive items, we realize that they're very expensive, and we try to take a lower margin on it in order to just keep the price point at a certain rate. But one thing that we did that I think helped a lot for keeping the price in check was for the MIJ8s, we did the wooden box. And the wooden box was very nice, but it was also costly. It was a very expensive item. And I think for those people who got it, it's a very, very nice thing to have. But maybe it's not a very practical item. And so instead we did the bag, which was more cost effective and a lot more practical. And so that helped us drop the price point quite a bit. So that certainly helped with the MIJ11s. But despite all that, it's still very, very expensive jean, and it really all boiled down to production, both the cutting and sewing, and most importantly, the yarns. The yarns are very rare. And I would see sometimes comments being like, oh, there's a Kakishibu jean here for like, $200 or $300. Why are these more than double? And it's like, it's not just the dye. It's how it's dyed. That's the big point. And the fact that like you don't see hand-dyed yarns, you see them every now and then. It's not just us. I know other brands do it as well. But you see them like once a year. And that's really the reason, because the amount of yarn that is available for that only shows up about once a year, and only enough to make 100 and so, pairs of jeans. It's not a massive factory that's pumping out, yarn after yarn. And even there, it's like the demand for these hand-dyed yarns isn't just exclusive to denim. There's other industries here in, small craft textile industries here that are in demand for that yarn as well. So it's just, they make what they can make, and, it gets put out to whoever can grab it when they can. So
and then I saw some people compared to natural indigo hand-dyed things, and it's like there is also a part where it's like more the rarity also. So like, indigo hand dyeing I think it's a little bit more in demand. So they make a little bit more of that. So like we have much less opportunity to get Kakishibu hand dyed yarns or fabrics made of that. And therefore like it's just, it's one of those things that it is really hard to get, and obviously people who are making it are aware of that, so they would have to, like, in order for them to even take the time to make that, it would just be a little bit less efficient because they don't sell it as much, and then they have to set up the whole thing. So that's part of it too.
Hopefully that explains that to those. I don't know how many people in the audience here are of the opinion that was a
I would imagine
thing, but
that's more like people who don't
maybe not
spend 2 hours learning about denim every week.
Yeah, perhaps. So anyway, that was that, but it was a successful release, very, very popular, and I'm glad that the folks who got it are enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys you fade them out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some outfits.
Yeah, it's gonna look really, really good. Okay. Edward Mendez, getting my first pair of raw denim. Want something from the new collection. I don't want something too uncomfortable and giving up. Really like the double dirty / hard and soft in kimono and the new year. So a lot of you like a lot, which is great. What would be a good first pair in that mix?
What was the mix? Sorry.
Double dirty, hard and soft selvage, the kimono weft, or the Chinese New Year.
Ooh.
You go first.
That's a good one. So it's the first raw or
First pair of raw jeans. And he wants something that he's not going to give up on.
I think I'm gonna go with Chinese New Year. It is, especially this year's Chinese New Year, is a lot softer than typical raw denim of that weight. And it will give you, it's a slubby fabric, so it will give you a nice fading experience. So I think that's, what you want in the first pair of raw jeans to fade, see the results as you wear. So I think that fabric will give you that on top of that a little bit of a comfort. So you get used to the idea of wearing something raw that's not as soft, but it is kind of a bridge in between. Yeah,
that is a good recommendation. It's also a good recommendation because the slubbiness, right? You are kind of getting a, you're skipping a little bit of a step, in terms of like maybe a quote unquote beginner denim.
Right.
Like a lot of people might start off their raw denim journey with a more basic, classic look. But the slubbiness adds just that little bit of extra. So it might be more exciting to watch this denim fade. For some people, they like that classic, kind of flatter toned, more even toned denim. Certainly, I appreciate it as well. My recommendation for most people, as for their first pair of raw denim jeans, is the left-hand twill selvage. The Chinese New Year is a great option because of the comfort. I was gonna say double dirty or the hard and soft, because the hard and soft I felt was a little bit more classic in tone. Dark indigo on the outside, white weft on the inside. So you get that classic raw denim look. It's not super slubby. It has a nice tone to it, but it is a crispier denim.
And I get your point. Like, I think it's also part of the reason why you recommend left-hand twill for a lot of people is that if you're going to go into raw denim, you want to have the ability of high contrast fade, like really crispy, just very, experience of raw denim all the way. You just understand the raw denim and understand the fading process. So I think that's a good option too.
Yeah. It also, I feel like it's a good way to set your expectations. Like, okay, get something that's a little bit more classic. Then, I could feel how rigid it is. It's, the hard and soft is slubby, but not crazy slubby. So I could, the fading is going to be a little bit more classic in tone, maybe. And then from there, when you start to get into the variation styles, a colored weft, a much slubbier denim, a heavier weight denim, a lighter denim, stretch denim, you can start to see, and feel the differences a little bit.
It's
based off of
benchmark.
It's a good benchmark, a good baseline. The reality is, I don't think you'll have, in that group of picking, you're going to have a good experience no matter what. If comfort is your concern, then I think the Chinese New Year is a really, really good one to start with. Indigo warp white weft, a little bit more slubby, but that's okay. Still very, very nice fading jean. But you'll get the comfort factor there. And I think if you think comfort is going to be an issue for you, then go with the comfort. Because the jean, the worst part about raw denim for some people is that break-in time. And if you're not going to wear your jeans, then you're not going to experience, the process. So get something that you're more likely going to wear. And I think you'll be happy that way.
Somebody here says, my first pair was the Frankenstein 3.
Right.
That is pretty.
Yeah,
that is a pretty high level first pair.
Yeah, the amount of people who I think stumbled, I don't know if that was a stumbled into Naked and Famous Denim type of jean, but, I hear a lot of stories of people who are like, I was in whatever store and I saw the elephant denim. And I was like, I picked it up. I'm like, what is this? Right? Or you picked up the Frankenstein denim. You're like, what is this? This is crazy. And without knowing much about raw denim at all or anything, you're just like, this is a crazy fabric. These are crazy jeans. I got to have them. Right? And so I think we appeal to folks who have that kind of, there's that switch in their brain where they're like, I don't know what it is, but there's something here that's weird or different, and I need to know about it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and then you see it, it's in front of you, and you're just like, okay, like I'm just gonna jump in.
Yeah. Speaking of jumping in, here we've got another first timer here, John in the chat. When will the True Guy for the Sakura Sky release? That's going to be my first pair of Naked and Famous. We expect them to be in our warehouse by the end of April. Fingers crossed. And then they'll release shortly after that. So just stay tuned. We'll have them, fingers crossed, sooner than later. Speaking of the Sakura Sky, actually, are they? I don't know where they are. We had some samples somewhere. Anyways, we can show them off because the Sakura Sky just came out today. We've been talking about it all week. We showed it off last week. Very, very... Anyway, Reese is going to go grab a pair and we'll talk about it for those who may have missed the release, but a very, very fun summer jean that came out today. Okay. Okay, Rodrigo writes, guys, I just got an Elephant 11, and regarding the hem, do it now, leaving a ½ inch, or break them in and cut them after. What do you suggest?
What?
Elephant 11? Mm-hmm. Should I hem them now, or should I break them in and then hem them?
How confident are you in the inseam decision?
Yeah, how long are they? Right? Like, if they're just a little bit too long, then you could probably just wear them and you'd be fine. But
also, like, how set are you in your inseam? Like, sometimes you don't know what you want your jeans length to be. Then you might want to just break it in, see how you feel, how you're like...
Like, if you want a big cuff, depends how much cuff you want to leave also. Some people, they don't want...
Yeah, and it is of heavyweight, so the cuff, like, if you can't do one of those, like...
double cuffs really get thick on those, so consider that. If you're saying, like, okay, I usually just wear, like, a 1-inch cuff, then you could probably just hem them now, because you have the extra length there anyways, but if it's just something that you want to be, like, very precise, like, right to, to the top of your heel type of length jean, then maybe just wear them for a little bit. Sorry, that wasn't a very yes or no answer.
But I think it also depends on, like, how essential it is that, like, because we don't know how much extra fabric you have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ashley O'Connor writes, is the new women's wrap dress measurement chart the same as the previous releases? Didn't see one on the website. I'm gonna go with yes.
Yes, the measurement should be the same. I don't think we changed the fit.
Yeah, let's check it out. So, in addition to the Sakura Sky, so we got the Sakura Skies, we got the overalls. But yeah, these just dropped today also. Sorry we didn't do a major announcement on these. Sometimes products just drop. And
I didn't even know they're available now. Sometimes it just comes in.
Yeah, so really, really great wrap dresses. And
these fabrics amazing. It is Derby like stripes. It's one of those like old school like we see this
it's
in like
woven into the fabric, these patterns. So this is a very, very intricate design. It's not like a printed pattern. It's all Dobby woven right in. Quite beautiful. It comes in both the women's wrap dress. There's a women's Aloha shirt also, which looks really nice. Camp collar shirt. There's a men's one coming later this season. So, coming soon. Very, very nice. Very great fabric. Old school look. Fun to layer with. And, you can enjoy it 2 different ways. or 3 different ways. We do also have the men's option as well. But
I think when men's were making short sleeve easy shirt as well.
Right. And
so
also, I'm convinced that the price is wrong.
Yes.
I'm 100% convinced that the price is incorrect. I've asked Brandon, I'm like, are you sure that's the price? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Same thing here, 162 on the dress. I'm pretty sure that's because like our men's shirts are much more pricey. There's a lot more fabric here. Anyways, it's Brandon makes the prices, so whatever Brandon says goes. Anyhow, we got the Sakura Sky.
Yeah.
These just came out today. They just came out today on Tati and Yoko and Naked Famous Denim NYC. A couple other retailers might have had them a bit early. I know if you're looking for early releases, like Blue Owl usually releases them about a week or two before we do. Our aim also with our releases in general is that we want to make sure that the products get out to our retail partners before we launch anything. It's just kind of a stance that we have. I have to say that we're probably one of the few brands that actually do that. I know
it's just that, like, obviously we get it first.
Yeah.
But if we release it first, then it's kind of not fair to everybody else.
Yeah.
And
they support us by, carrying our brand and, making sure that we have retailer availability all over, the place. So we just want to make sure that our retail partners are covered, right? And that they have a fair chance at selling the product that they are, supporting us supporting our brand. So we are often the last place to release something. But on
the other hand, we tend to have the most amount of fits, the most amount of sizes.
Yeah, we have everything. So if there's something you're looking for, then, we got it. But if you see it somewhere else, don't hesitate to grab it there. It's fine. It doesn't bother us at all. Of course, we want you to support our retail partners as well. But yeah, just be aware that we're often not the first to have everything. Sometimes we have like a coordinated release, like the MIJ11s. But for like the regular season stuff, the main like seasonal collection releases, those tend to be less delivery date kind of specific releases. We release them when we release them. It also gives us time to come up with all the photography and videos and blog posts and all that stuff. So it's not all like all the videos are like we'll like whatever like the Sakura Sky video, like it came out last Wednesday. Like we shot parts of it on Monday, we shot parts of it on Wednesday, and then it's usually a couple of days before the release is when we're making the video.
We just kind of fly, last minute and then come make content. And same thing with like Instagram posts and stuff. Like we really focus on that item that week. Yeah. And so like all the last minute like contents are available during. Yes. Yeah.
We should be doing it earlier. It's just the way our schedule is. It's just hard to get ahead of anything.
And sometimes we don't we want to have the production just because maybe there's a last minute thing that we forgot, or like we don't have enough samples.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Chase Franson writes, Duchel had the Sakura Sky for like 3 weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And also like we wait until all the fits are available to sell on our end, but some customers, only have like 1 fit or 2 fits. So like those might be available earlier and we just ship them because, obviously they...
Yeah, like we don't get every fit all
at the same time.
Like we might get a super guy, weird guy 1 week. Like we get productions like ready. Usually we'll get them once a week. So we might get half the production 1 week, the other half the next week. And then, we want to make sure that everything is all together. And then release it all at one time. So, anyways, that's just some insight on how we handle that kind of stuff. But yeah, Sakura Sky, available now. Great summer option.
Yeah.
Lightweight, light blue. It's definitely one of the, like we did the recycled salvage stone blue this season. That was one light blue option. And then we have, this one as well. A little bit more, the recycled is a little bit more pale. This one's a little bit more, summery blue, I would say.
Yeah, it's more bright. Like the recycled was more muted. So even though it was lighter blue, it didn't feel like super summery.
Yeah.
Whereas like this one is very
let's take a look
it's more
at the
springy, I guess.
Recycled. We have a lot of recycled salvage this season. We have the kimono, but yeah, let's check it out. So yeah, the recycled. These ones are almost. Ooh, look at that. Super Guy's just down to a couple sizes.
Oh, interesting.
Weird Guy.
Oh wow.
We're out.
Oh.
I mean the.
It's weird. We usually go.
Sometimes the big sizes sell out first.
Yeah.
Anyways, it goes both ways, but yeah, this is the recycled salvage stone blue. So if you're looking for a light blue option, you've got two of them this season with this one and with the Sakura Sky. So some great options here for you to check out. How are we doing? Yeah, they're doing okay. The big sizes, the Weird Guy's gone, but yeah. And then the overalls, these just look fantastic. I think we are the only ones who have these.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's like a last minute addition.
Really fun. And like I like the cross back design on our overalls here as well. And yeah, and you've got a pair on today as well. So
overalls are just
they're very handy because it's an outfit in one garment. Almost. I mean, you have to wear a shirt or something. But
you can't go naked underneath.
I kind of want to rock a pair of overalls. I don't know if I'll do it for the Indigo Invitational next year, but I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about like I would like to have a faded pair of overalls.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Weird different rights. Are the overalls unisex?
Yes, but the sizing wise, if you could, I mean, we do go up to a certain size.
Yeah.
I think.
Check this out.
I actually don't know.
The reality is everything is unisex.
Yes.
It just matters on the size. Now, we do have a men's fit overall, which sizing is a little, more extended. And, vice versa. Women can certainly wear the men's overall. Men can wear the women's overall. It just depends on your size.
Oh, 100%. There are some women wearing the left-hand twirl overalls. They look very nice. I've seen them.
We have a lot of female customers who get into our men's fits.
Yeah, and vice versa, surprisingly. Like, I didn't know that until,
classic.
Yeah, classic. Like New York people were like telling us that like it's pretty often that like men would just get the women's items, and especially in store they can like try it on and they see it, and especially with overalls and stuff, like we make more seasonal fabrics in overalls rather like men's overalls tend to stay within like the core fabrics.
Yeah.
So
hold on. We also do like a collection for SSENSE, and it is a little bit more like some of the styles were originally designed for women, but they're very unisex in terms of the fits and the look. So let's check it out over here. So SSENSE is a online retailer. They're based in Montreal, but they're a global. They sell everywhere. They have all the brands. They're like a luxury department store online, and we do a special collection for them, like with our kimono style jackets and these wide trousers as well. So very drapey. Originally they were designed for the women's collection, but they're available here. On the men's side of things, but yeah, I mean, men or women can get into these. There's no one way about it here. So
kind of looks cool.
They look really cool. I mean, SSENSE's styling is fantastic. They have a lot. They have a lot of great resources here. But yeah, check it out. I mean, they have the indigo overalls, the men's ones, quote unquote, and then they have the wide trousers here as well. So they got a lot of great options here if you're looking for some more unisex style fits. They also look how cool the Groovy guys look here. They did a good job with those. If you're looking for a cool old school flared bootleg jean, bam,
Yeah.
you've got your option right
This
there.
guy's skinny.
Yeah, very slim guy. But yeah, I mean, that's a very New York look right now. So anyways, they are on the more fashion forward side of things with our collection, that's for sure. Okay, Johnny Crumhorn asks, which is your favorite between the Sakura Sky or the all natural organic cotton? They're very different jeans. They're very different jeans. Like if I had to buy one, like if you know,
Had to buy
I had to buy one. Some guy, dark alley, pulls out a revolver and says, "Hey, you can only have one. Which one do you want?" And he's just like, you have to pick one.
Okay.
Okay, this is a very odd situation I find myself in. He's like, you could only have one pair of the trousers you're wearing off. You can only have one of these two.
Okay. What would your...
I'd be like, okay, sir, how long do I have to wear these for? Is this an Indigo Invitational style thing where I'm wearing one jean for a year? And he says, it's up to you. He's cruel.
Reasonable.
He's a reasonable guy with this situation, but I do find myself in a predicament here. I'm gonna go, based on my experience, I'm gonna go Sakura Sky. Reason why, because I have the raw cotton slubs that I've worn in. So I already had a pair of ecrus in the closet, and I've yet to break in a light blue denim from the start. So I think I would enjoy that process. So both of these colors, the light blue, the ecru, I think are really nice options for you to have in your arsenal of raw denim options. An ecru jean, I think, is kind of an essential at this point.
Yeah.
You know, I used to talk about it as like dark indigo, black. You need some kind of gray or brown. Yeah, like dark indigo, black. Those you need these. These are every person needs to have those two jeans. Then you get into like duck,
brown, yeah.
Right? Duck, ecru, light blue. I will go in that order, right? Indigo, black, duck, ecru. Duck and ecru could kind of be interchangeable, but I think duck is a little bit more...
Like all year versatile.
Yeah.
Not that you can't wear ecru in the winter time, but it's like you might want brown more in your outfit.
In the fall, I wore I wore the ecru the whole year. I had no problem, but I think it takes a certain kind of person to pull that one off all year.
I also, I have natural seed stretch, which I love, but and I don't wear it like as often as my indigo or black jeans. And one time, like, the last time I wore it, actually, is, like, we went to the park and sat down and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, okay, so today was not a good day to wear ecru jeans. So there are situations where you don't want to wear, like, light colored jeans if you're just going to
I was wearing mine to destruction, so I did not care.
But I didn't want to, like, walk around with, like, a brown butt, like, on my jeans, you know what I mean?
I didn't care. I was like, these are disgusting, my jeans right now. Because I also, in the entire Indigo Invitational 3, I think we watched them once.
Really? I thought you watched them twice.
Maybe twice. But it wasn't very often.
It was gross.
They still are gross, by the way. They're disgusting. I have to post my photos on the IG. I uploaded my photos to the Indigo Invitational people. But we did our final photos just the other day. So...
Okay, so back to that like peculiar situation where you're forced to choose. I think I would choose all natural organic, just cause again, I love my natural seed a lot, and I don't mind like the 100% cotton version of it. It's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit more of a substantial pair. Like I kind of want to do that, and that selvage edge. I really love that green selvage edge with the crew. So I'm just gonna go with that.
So there you go. So if you wanted a definitive answer, We sat right on the fence for you. Just really weird.
It's a problem of having two people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it. Hopefully, it gave you some insight. Okay. The Husky Raccoon writes, is it possible to make a Type 3 jacket with a Type 2 length? Okay. The question, is it possible? It's possible. It's technically possible. The Naked and Famous Denim Trucker has seen more iterations of fits than any other product of our Naked and Famous Denim career. And when it started, the first one was short and tight and just exactly what you were explaining. And
everything was tight back then.
Yeah, everything was tight back then. But we based it off of some vintage jackets I had, and that's what it was, and that's what I wore. And I thought we have to make this really, authentic for it to be like the proper jacket. And it turned out that wasn't the right way. It was a nice jacket, but it didn't fit a lot of people. There were issues with it. So we, over the years, it's just seen so many modifications until its current iteration, which has been ever since we added pockets.
That was the last time.
That was the last time we modified it. And it is, I'm going to say, the perfect denim trucker jacket.
Yeah, we perfected it.
It is perfect. It is the best. If you want to wear it slimmer, size down. If you want to wear it like with a little bit of looseness that you could, I know I said size down, but check the measurements, okay? In your quote-unquote normal size, if you normally wear a medium, you'll probably wear a medium in our jacket, right? Probably. Check the measurements. But in the medium, you'll have room to layer. Like, you could put on a hoodie underneath. You should be fine. If you want it to be a little bit snugger and shorter, size it down one. You'll probably fit it just fine, so long as you're not on the edge in the medium. Like, if you put on the medium and it's like tight on you, then obviously going down a size isn't going to work for you. But if the medium is fitting you as we had intended the design to be, where it's a little bit loose, you'll be okay. The Husky Raccoon response, I like the current fit. It has the option to be layered. Just short guy problems here. LOL. No worries. I understand. We have a shorter fit. We do have the Type 2 jacket coming in.
But okay, so one thing I would point out is that the length of the jacket is actually not that different. It's just that like the Type 3 like is more of a straight drop.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, just drops it to where, it ends. Whereas Type 2, even though it's not that much shorter in body length, it would kind of
tapers in a little bit.
Yeah, so it kind of like looks shorter. It falls a little higher just because it's more of like a balloon shaped. Just so that
Yeah. That is true. Measurement wise, they are often
it's
very
a little
similar.
Tricky,
Okay. Anyways, we have some Type 3 previews for you today coming up. Stay tuned. And before we continue, hit the like button, everybody. Hit that like button right now. Like this video or this live stream.
Please.
Or this replay, please. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I have to say that lately our videos have been getting a lot more traction, which I think is a lot of fun. And I don't know, it's just exciting for me. I saw that we had in the last month, the analytics said we had 50,000 hours of content watched.
See, I don't...
So...
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right, but
it sounds like way too much. But again, I don't Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the ability to cross-reference that with anything, but that's what it said, and I'm like, wow.
We do have 10,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah.
So.
We have the short videos, we have the long videos like this. So anyways, you guys are tuning in and really appreciate. I like to see the numbers grow. You know, we don't monetize the channel, and yesterday I looked into I'm like, because I was looking at the numbers and I'm like, I wonder what this is worth in terms of like YouTube monetization, and
probably not much.
It's not much. It's like because we have a lot of videos at this point, like we have a library, so anyways, that's how you get to that 50,000 hour mark, because people are
true. Yeah,
there's just a lot.
Watching old videos.
Yeah, watching old videos, things like that. So I think it worked out to like $400 a month, and I'm like, it's not nothing. Like if this was my job as a YouTuber, or like if it was my job as like even a part-time YouTuber, like I had a regular job and I did YouTube part-time, like that'd be like a nice little extra money at the end of the month. But I'm just like, no, like as a company, I'm like, whatever. Like it's not something for me to want to.
Well,
it's not worth the advertisement. Like you guys have to watch before the videos.
Yeah, because
for me to put this.
Because in a way, like we don't necessarily make these live stream more of a commercial, but like the focus on product videos are basically commercial.
Yeah, I mean, you learn a little bit, but it's there to educate you about a product. I don't want you to watch a video about another product ahead of it just seems,
it does seem weird.
It does seem a little odd. So, anyways, this is like we're not doing.
But it just because we don't monetize it doesn't mean that you don't have to watch.
Yeah, let me know if you guys are seeing ads in front of our videos or not, because I'm not sure exactly how it all works. Yeah, but
like we noticed that like on Wonder Looper videos we don't monetize it obviously, but
I've seen
every
ads
time
before.
I see. Video on my phone, like it gives me an ad, so I don't know if that's the...
Anyhow, if you do see ads, let us know in the comments. I'm just curious to know if that's the case or not. Chris Griffin writes, Brave software doesn't do ads with YouTube. Well, there you go. Well, that's the way around it. Ads would include competitor products, so that would be odd. Shane, this is true. Invest Ian's, no ads before your videos for me. Okay. Good. And then Topher Cobra writes, no ads for me. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it's staying that way. I don't want any shenanigans to interfere. Pedro writes, I've never seen an ad in front of the videos. I have a channel and it's not monetized. But for whatever reason, when I watch some of my videos, there's an ad. Yeah. Like
I think maybe if you don't have enough subscribers,
or you haven't had enough watch time hours, I think it's one of those things. Like as soon as you hit a certain like amount of videos watched or time viewed, then you have more control over that. I'm not exactly sure. I just know how to upload, and that I'm not into the whole technical aspect of it.
I'm glad that this Naked Famous videos are not monetized.
Okay, so let's jump into a couple of things. First, I want to talk about these questions. So we had a fan reach out, and they're in college, and they're doing a project on denim. And I do, from time to time, I have to say that regularly I will get these kinds of emails, and this person who sent the questions today was a lot more, I would say that they had their shoes on. You know, sometimes, I don't know, I'm just thinking of an analogy. That's the worst analogy I could ever think of, or they had their hat on, right? Because sometimes I will get somebody who's doing some kind of, they're in fashion school or some kind of fashion project or whatever, and they will say, hey, can I ask you some questions? I have a project. And then they'll literally send me like their project like question, and they're like, "Yeah, basically, could you just write an essay for me? Could you explain from start to finish the history of blah blah?" I'm like, "No, like, are you out of your mind? Like the amount of people who do that, ridiculous. By the way, just really, I'm like, come on." I know that you don't care about your project. Yeah. You don't care about this at all. And you're like, hey, let me just ask a random stranger on the internet, not completely random, but to do my homework for me. Mm-hmm. Like, get out of here. But anyways, this person is not those kinds of people.
Yeah, and writing about it in an email versus talking about it as a conversation style is very different. Like it's conversation wise, we could even enjoy it, we could share it, whatever. But like
this person also was like, "Hey, can we just do a quick call?" And so that they could take notes.
Right.
And like some people like they want me to write them. I'm like, I've done it with people where I'm like, I'll answer your questions, but I'm gonna talk to you. I'm not going to write this all out for you. Like I'll give you 30 minutes. But anyhow. Anyways, Mr. Ethan here. We got some fun questions. This is about how jeans culture in Japan. So I think we have some good insights here, and maybe we can dispel some concepts that some people might have about what's going on out here in Japan. So the first question is, how did jeans get introduced to Japan? / was it American films? And if there was an American film, is there one in specific?
Okay, so specificity-wise, I'm not 100% sure. I might have to look into something. But in general, the jeans are introduced to Japanese people first by American GIs that are stationed in Japan, walking around in jeans, probably off-duty, walking around in jeans. And that's how Japanese people learned about jeans and also kind of admired that kind of look,
These... kind of strong-looking soldiers, and
they look cool. They have long legs. Very tall guys. So that's why the jeans was like, kind of like an icon of young Japanese, men that are like, oh, that's so cool. And then obviously there were some like trade bands and stuff like that going on back in the wartime. So. Well, that's during the World War II, by the way.
Yeah.
And because of that, like the jeans that sometimes the GIs just come to Japan, have a lot of personal things, and they just kind of leave. I guess they get stationed somewhere else or whatever, leave Japan and leave their personal belongings in Japan, and those jeans from that gets traded in black market, basically.
In the Ueno market, I would say almost specifically, like where currently there are some like very famous jean shops. Like people were that was a big black market in World War II for a variety of items, including jeans. So, you have the soldiers who were here. They would leave their stuff, sell their stuff, whatever it is. And then so there would only be a handful of these jeans around for people to get. And if you had them, it was like this coveted item.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that I'm sure later on film and just Western influences helped to create the look.
Yeah, but I don't think back in those days people were watching American films. No, really, it wasn't.
It was definitely cool. the influence of the Americans here at the time.
Yeah, it's also funny because whenever I think about it, there's also the time where as a child in Japan, like you learn about like these war times and what impact they had, and one of the things that stood out was that like, kids in Japan didn't really have chocolates. I mean, it's not like chocolates didn't exist in Japan, but it wasn't something readily available, especially during the wartime. Like everybody was poor. Sugar was just, not available to people. So like American GIs would give like little Japanese kids, some candies and chocolates. And those are like the biggest cultural like thing for them. It's like, whoa, first of all, sugar. Yeah. And second of all, this is
the kindness of that gesture.
Right, that too, but chocolates.
Right.
Everybody loves chocolates.
Right. I would say I would say not movies, but the Americans soldiers. Okay. You know what? I just want to expand on something that they didn't ask. Okay. But after, so there were Americans who were leaving their jeans here and, people buying up whatever jeans they had. there were a couple things within that are interesting.
That's true.
And one of them is that like Americans, especially at the time, were way bigger than the average Japanese person. So
it's still
the case.
Yeah.
So you would see, and I've seen it myself, these vintage jeans that have been cut up and remade into like Japanese sizes. So that was definitely happening here with the existing jeans, the few pairs that were floating around. And then they would import old American jeans and recut them. So like they would look super janky. I have to see if I have photos of this somewhere. But I remember we were in the Big John archive when we were doing our first Big John collab, when we were reproducing the first ever Japanese denim. We were in their archive and they had these old jeans that were of that era that were completely remade from scratch, just cutting up these old American jeans. And so I thought that was really neat because, you know, the average American at the time versus Japan was a poor country, and like the people here are still very slim, but I can imagine that especially during wartime, the slimness of the people and versus American sizing, like even if you got a pair of jeans, they didn't fit.
Yeah.
You know, you had to rework them.
And that's a very good point. Fast forward a little bit, there's also a matter of like washing. So because Japanese people were introduced to jeans as secondhand clothing first, they didn't like, you know, break in a brand new pair of jeans themselves. So they're in their mind, like jeans are like these, you know, kind of washed
items.
Like
and
soft
distressed.
Like it's one of those things where like doing washes for like fashion, like, you know, selling jeans as like making jeans that are already washed was not a concept until later in the history of jeans. And that idea came from the fact that Japanese people, not only like when they try to make their own jeans, or like when they try to like sell jeans in Japanese market, that was a struggle for them too.
Yeah.
I mean, it like nowadays it's a struggle everywhere to sell raw jeans.
Yeah.
But back then it was just like, okay, so how can we make these jeans sellable as brand new item, but still had the comfort and you know, just look of the worn in jeans.
Yeah, or have like, how can these new jeans be the way that the market thinks jeans ought to be? Yeah. So
so that was like how Japan developed their washing and pre-distressing culture.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What did casual Japanese fashion look like before jeans? Was there casual fashion?
Okay.
That's a good question.
It is a good question. I think when we think about timelines of Japan, there were so kimono times where like everybody tend to wear kimonos to like Western clothing was introduced. Men started wearing suits, and you know, women really stuck to kimono way longer than men back then. But it was just like a cultural revolution around Meiji era, and I think from that point on, like there was a little bit of a what do you call it? Like just Western influence into Japanese clothing. And casual fashion, I think, is a very...
Yeah, I don't think the concept necessarily existed in the same way as it is today.
Yeah, but then after that era, I mean, we go into the era of wars, and, you know, most people were not... Like, they were not wearing fashion. Like, they're not buying clothes. They're just kind of managing. So... The
jinbei might have been the most casual thing to wear, like but
still
it's a kimono style, but not a formal one.
But people, I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's
You can find on YouTube these old, like 100-year-old videos of like Japan, and you'll see that there's still a lot of kimono wearing for men and women, and then you'll see the men. Maybe these were the more quote unquote fashionable men, maybe more important or business style men who are wearing suits.
Yeah, and a hat. Yeah, and women too. Like they wear like, I don't know how to explain it. More like a button-up shirt, like. A little bit like a
Victorian kind of looking style.
Like a, very high, like waisted skirt that goes to your ankle and stuff like that. That was a pretty, I think.
It was a formal, but it was like I'm maybe more
a
like
a fashion person would wear something like that instead of a kimono or, Yeah.
So I would recommend if you really want a good look at it, just go on YouTube and find, videos of old Japan, and you'll find, like, even colorized videos of, like, 1890, 1902, like, even places in Tokyo that kind of still exist today, and you'll see, like, it's incredible that what was being worn then and, what it looks like today, and definitely a big difference, but you'll get an idea of what people were wearing.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question? What ideas were brought with jeans? Were they counterculture?
I mean, again, it kind of goes back to the American soldier thing, and despite that, like. Obviously, there was animosity between the countries back then, but I think we still, even with that, still, like, we had this, what's the word? Like, admiration of, like, American culture, what they represented, I guess. And then especially after the war, like, we looked to America as just, the country of freedom, country of strength. It's just like that was when, like, our idea of America, like, we no longer are kind of forced to think America as the bad guys and, enemies. So I think maybe that's when we started watching, Western films and, like, looking at James Dean and, things like that. So it's not necessarily counterculture, but I think it only maybe appeal to younger people who did not have a
negative
a hate in their bones about American culture. So I think it, like, maybe this is
it's like, also like a new fresh kind of thing. Like, young people, obviously the new thing is the thing that they want to be a part of, and like, if you were born kind of towards the end of the war and you just don't see things the same way as, your parents, your grandparents see it, and you're like, well, this is cool and new. I want to be part of what's cool and new. So there's probably I wouldn't say it was necessarily like a super rebellious act, as it was more like, this is the new wave, and
this is the new way. Like, this is how it's gonna be here.
And it's not just the new way; it's the way that it's the only way that I know, because this is the culture that's coming in. So
I think that switch kind of happened very quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, my grandparents' generation, like, my grandfather, personally, he wore a bunch of jeans, and, like, he liked the workwear kind of look.
He was also very well traveled. He went everywhere.
But, like, my grandmother, on the other hand, she, like, still doesn't really understand, like, how everybody owns jeans. Like, she sometimes, like, because she knows that I work in, jeans industry, she's just, like, pointing out to, like, oh, that person's wearing jeans. He's always wearing jeans. And it's like, yes, everybody wears jeans all the time. Yeah. But I think in her generation, like, she doesn't own a pair of jeans. No. She does not understand the...
You once told me she's never been on an airplane.
Yeah, she doesn't like flying.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's well traveled for somebody who's never been on an airplane. 'Cause
Yeah.
she take cruises and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah.
Very neat. Very interesting lady. But yeah, anyway, these could be some interesting questions to ask Grandma. We might.
Yeah. But she like for her it is like she understands that like it's it's a thing and whatever. But I think for that generation like there was a good chunk of people who've never worn jeans in their lives.
Right. Could the same thing have happened anywhere else in the world? Is there a special connection between jeans and Japanese culture? I would say that could the same thing have happened anywhere else in the world? It did. It happened in Europe. It happened in Russia. It happened all over, Germany. The amount of admiration for jeans around the world, I think, happened in a very similar way. It happened when a lot of these countries were exposed to Americans, oftentimes through war, and we saw what they were wearing. Mm-hmm. Like, if I remember when I was a kid, our teachers would tell us like, I went backpacking through Europe and in the 70s or the 80s, and people wanted to buy my jeans off of me. Like, I was wearing jeans. Like, can I buy your jeans off of you? Like, because they didn't have jeans. Like,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to wear?
Right. But they wanted them. They craved them. I even remember Rudy, Swiss Jeans Freak, he talked about kind of his first introduction to jeans, and it was his family had received a care package of, like, used clothing, and it contained a pair of jeans. And he's like, me and my family, like, we like my siblings, we want, like, that was the grail item in there, right? And so the fact that jeans didn't really exist, but like on like they weren't making them, but they knew what they were and they knew that they were American, and like I have to have this thing just because of for a lot of things, but I think part of what jeans represented to a lot of people at that time was the American spirit. Mm-hmm. And if you're coming out of war and you're coming out of hard times, and you see this kind of prosperity and this freedom, and especially in a lot of these countries were terribly oppressed, right? Like just complete, like just, for many of us, it's just impossible to imagine how terrible life was back then. Yeah. And then to have this piece of clothing kind of represent like, this is what life can be, right? If you look to America. It meant a lot to a lot of people. So it definitely, this embracing of jeans happened everywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. And I would say that a lot of it was at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It is amazing how jeans is the representation of the, like you said, American spirit, freedom, and stuff like that. It just, I think it's such a weird turn of events where that became the American icon. And
maybe because it was such a unique piece of clothing. Like everyone had trousers, everyone had shirts and blazers and things like that. But here was this like rugged textile, blue,
oddly specific. Like all the pants looked the same.
Yeah, with metal rivets in them, and just what is this garment, right? Like
I actually, it's funny because when I was in college, I had a neighbor friend who like I hang out with, and he was kind of like a weirdo. Like he was just he was a musician, and he was like more of a classical musician kind of thing, and he was like weird, and he one time like he would question me about like what's so great about jeans that everybody has them. It's so weird. And he did not own a pair of jeans, and I think that part of that was like he didn't want to be like accepting of this like nonsense that everybody seems to accept. I want to be different kind of thing. But like that was way before I was like in denim industry or like knew anything specific about jeans. And that actually blew my mind that like, why does everybody love jeans? Like, everybody wears t-shirts, but you kind of understand why. Whereas like jeans are so specific. It's not like
Actually, even with t-shirts is an interesting story.
Right.
Right? Because t-shirts were underwear.
Right.
So the idea that, I'm sure, I don't know, I guess I don't know how old your grandparents or great-great-grandparents would have to be at this point, but like, for some people, it might be seen as, I'm sure those people aren't alive anymore, but like, the idea that underwear would just be worn on its own would have been a ridiculous concept maybe 100 years ago. Right?
That's true.
Maybe 100 years. I have to look into
that
like...
is still like, I mean, you might wear that inside of the house, but like going outside with that, it's like appalling. I mean, some people thought that about like, hats. Like,
sure.
How would you not wear a hat?
Why would you not wear a hat going out? It seems odd that a man would wear a hat. You must wear a hat. This is nonsense. But yeah, it's interesting how things have changed.
But jeans, like going back to jeans, it's just like it's such a specific item, and it went through some iterations, but like we settled in this 5-pocket design, and that's the standard. And I'm sure that there are different variations of it, but when you think of jeans, we all think of this one specific item, and yet we all have them and wear them all the time, and we don't think that it's weird. It is weird.
Yeah, this is the most universal garment, maybe aside from a t-shirt. It's the most universal garment in the world. Everywhere in the world has jeans. Except for, Shane says it correctly, North Korea. North Korea is the only place in the world.
But the reason for that, it's also the same. It's such an American thing.
Yeah. The reason you do... Okay, there's an interesting story about blue jeans in North Korea. Blue jeans are illegal in North Korea, and their way around it is black jeans. So black jeans, so there was once, I think it was a Swedish company. They were called Noko jeans, Noko jeans. They made like one production, and I tried to get my hands on a pair, and unfortunately, anyway, I couldn't. They had them. So what the deal was, they went to North Korea and they partnered up with the factory that made black jeans. And I guess they imported them into their country, and they made like a production run, and they were like, okay, like here it is, like North Korean produced jeans, and they wouldn't ship them out of Europe. So I had no way to get them at that point. I just wanted them for the collection, so to speak. But they basically told that story about how blue jeans are contraband there, and they do have their alternative. I wonder if, one day these people see freedom, if they will experience the same belovedness for jeans as, the rest of the world did when kind of freedom came to their parts of the world.
Oh, I think so. It will be even more because people don't really back then people saw jeans as, a like symbol of freedom or whatever, but we don't anymore. It's just jeans.
Right.
Whereas, if you're newly introduced to the world, I think you might see them as like, this is the sign that I'm free now. I can't wear this now.
Yeah. Anyhow, hopefully one day we'll see this happen. Okay, BD, I didn't hear Snowy's entrance music before he crashed the stream. Yeah, no, he comes on. He was crying a little bit in the background there.
Yeah.
But anyways, Snowy's a big part of the live streams these days. Okay.
He became a part of our video too, recorded video.
We were like right at the end of like a good. Sometimes when we make those videos, like we redo them a few times. We want to just for my own editing sanity.
We're not like take multiple cuts and cut up and put it into one thing. It's usually one.
I like to have one good long run of like no major mistakes or anything that we forgot. Like they're generally. Like they're unscripted. We just kind of riff off each other.
As I'm sure you can tell.
Yeah. I am not like if you watch some of those older videos, like I at one point I tried to script it, and you can just see my eyes like going back and forth.
But also, it's just so hard because like. You mess it up and you gotta redo it.
Yeah.
You mess it up, you gotta redo it. Yeah. When you're talking, like you mess it up or you forget what you were gonna say, like or whatever.
Much more
like
of a conversation.
It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, we're at the end of like a good run.
Yeah.
And like Snowy's like running around and meowing, and I'm just like, you know what? Snowy's in the video.
We're not gonna sacrifice this video.
I'm not gonna do this one again. This is a good run. So anyhow, Snowy, thanks for being a good member of our little raw denim community.
Mm-hmm. Even though you don't wear them.
Okay. There's a name I'm not going to be able to say, but it starts Zotilio? I don't know. I was friends with a North Korean kid growing up. He would never underdress. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's probably more to that. Yes. I can imagine. Griff writes, love how interactive you guys are with the fans and all of the new information I'm learning from y'all's stream. Well, I'm glad you are here with us too.
Yeah.
Okay. Francisco Michael, the best part of those videos is when Risa says, hey, Bahzad, and Bahzad pretends to be caught off guard. The seasonal videos. Yeah.
Yeah,
what
just
okay, Ricky Ramirez.
Oh, the last video we didn't
The last two videos actually.
Oh, last two?
Well, there's one. There's this fall collection because I did that in Montreal. I did that with Garrett.
Yeah.
I don't think I did an intro like that. I might have. I don't remember. Anyways, so I know people like that, and I enjoy it, but we'll try to incorporate that a little bit more. Okay. Ricky Ramirez, any internships offered at Naked and Famous? Yes and no. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't do it. You got to be in Montreal. I'll just if you're not in Montreal or planning on being in Montreal, then then I get like every now and then like people ask me, hey, I'm from here. You have it's an issue like even for jobs because a lot of times people are like, hey, are you hiring? And we're like, we are. But
we're hiring for positions that require you to be
eligible to work in Canada. So, like, if you're an American, you can't just show up to Canada and say, I'm going to work. And the same thing vice versa. Like, a Canadian can't just go to America and say, well, I'm here for a job. Like,
yeah, but also, like, we might work remotely, but, like, a lot of the times that the person we need to hire needs to be on site every day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Shane, it's interesting to see how ordinary civilians dressed in World War II so much classier, like double-breasted wool suits on poor men. Yeah, I mean...
That's true. People who might have been poor did.
They still wore suits.
Yeah, they still appreciated fine.
Yeah. I guess the idea of, like...
Casual.
Even growing up, we didn't have much, but the idea that I think there's a certain kind of mentality where it's like we might be in this certain financial situation, but they don't need to know.
Yeah.
So like we're
also like we kind of like it's a pride.
It's a pride thing. Yeah. So like you like. Your shoes might not be the best brand or whatever, but they're going to be clean, right? Yeah. Like
they have a certain standards that is like, I'm a member of this society, regardless of the financial situation. Like I'm going to look like one. Yeah.
I not to get too off track, but there was a video I watched the other day, and it was a YouTuber going to like some of the kind of low economic status, parts of Japan, and they went into like I wouldn't call it a public housing unit, but it was like a low income unit, and she was just kind of doing street interviews, and the guy's like, "Oh, you want to see what the apartments look like?" And I was like, "Oh no!" I was thinking to myself, "Oh, I hope they're not And like the guy's like, look at it. He's like, look how clean it is. And the guy was just like we might not be rich, but like, you know, we keep everything. We take pride in our area. And I was like, wow, that's like, it was very refreshing to see. And but yeah, anyways.
Casual clothing is like, you know, it's good, it's comfortable, but like I guess it does have, you know, there's a beauty in like getting dressed and being a little uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah, I do appreciate that, despite dressing like a bum. We're like the bottom of this, like, dress properly.
One of my funniest, interesting moments was, you know, I was young Bahzad, in my 20s, and I was especially scruffy looking. Like, my scraggle beard was long hair, probably pretty greasy, and I was riding the subway, I was going to work. I worked at a fancy department store, but I worked at the diesel section. I was working in there. I was wearing my, like, ripped up, torn up diesel jeans. I have some, like, gross looking distressed flannel on, a faded t-shirt, you know, my belt, I don't know, some kind of distressed cracked leather belt. My boots were gross and cracked and disgusting, and I'm just sitting on the subway minding my own business, and some sweet old lady comes up to me and she has like a thing of food and she's like, here, like, just here, please eat today. You look skinny. You look terrible. Like, you know, like, I need to help you because this is a problem. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like, I'm okay, thank you, blah blah blah. I'm like, man,
I spent thousands
of dollars, and this lady is like, help this boy.
But that's so funny because that back then, like, that distressed look was all about the distressed look, and it was just, I guess, some people didn't get the
memo. It was like that Johnny Depp era, like Pirates of the Caribbean, just looked like a
grubby look. Was so like,
I looked disgusting.
Pay to get extra grubby. That's funny. But I also find that, like, today, like, the most expensive, you know, people who spend a lot of money on their clothes look like they wear a t-shirt and track pants and sneakers, and it's like,
that's the new kind of flex.
Like, if you are shopping at Gucci, like, you know, 10 years ago, you would not come out with that, like, with the same amount of money, even.
Oh, right,
too.
right.
Like,
yeah, there's that.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like, people who shop at Gucci 10 years ago was...
The Tom Ford era Gucci versus today is very, like... It's kind of... Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that, but, like, you would get a tailored, beautiful shirt. This was Bahzad in his stupid flex days, but I remember when I was in, like, I worked at Whole Renfrew, I was selling suits, and I wanted to stand out. So I'm like, I'm going to buy Gucci shirts. I'm only going to buy Gucci shirts. So, you know, you could get, like, the house brand white, you know, dress shirt, or you could get, like, a Hugo Boss dress shirt, and they'd be like $150. Like, $150, $175 is kind of like $150 to like $200 is like the standard for like a white dress shirt, like a nice one. The Whole Renfrew ones might have been like $125, like the house brand ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, I want the Gucci one, because the Gucci one has a collar that's just a little bit more like this, and I'm gonna stand out a little bit. And they're like $375, and I'm just like, I don't care, I'm buying that one. But even then, I would feel like looking back, I'm like, I was definitely no better than, maybe not much better or whatever, than the other shirts for a much less price. You know, certainly the collar was the distinguishing factor here, I felt. But I feel like at least I got a tailored garment for, you know, this amount of money, whereas now it's just like, it's a very basic graphic tee. Right. Very basic graphic tee for the same money, and it's like...
It's not, It is... I mean, we are losing a little bit of that part of
formalness. Sometimes
Yeah.
I follow these Instagrammers who are just like into dressing, and they wear like I don't wear a lot of suits. I own a few, but I don't have a lot. But like I like seeing these guys like dressed up nice, and I'm like this looks cool. But yeah, we've lost that even in the casual form. You know, even just wearing a casual suit is gone. But anyhow.
Yeah. I mean, we do, you know, our entire lives are in casual wear, like jeans and t-shirts and whatnot. So, like, I mean, we are not complaining.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Frieza says, my sister, our grandmother used to yell when I used to wear ripped jeans.
Yeah.
That's
Ripped
it.
jeans are funny things.
Now,
Now, like, people walk around in jeans that are, like... just like it's mostly rips.
Yeah. There's more
there's
rips than fabric.
Yeah.
Rice W5. Gucci. Some of their watches are nice. Strong prices though. I felt always with the Gucci watches and like the branded watches that they just didn't have the same. There was just something about a branded watch. Because I always felt like it didn't matter whether it was Gucci or Diesel or something like that. Like, they always just kind of felt, maybe Diesel a little less so, because like Diesel watches always looked like Diesel watches. But other brand watches, I just felt like it was like kind of like their sunglasses department, where it was clearly, maybe it was
Handled by
someone
person.
else. Like, this is another company making these watches, and it just felt like
doesn't go with the rest of the brand image, maybe?
The branded watches all looked like branded watches, like whether it came from this brand or that brand or the other brand. Like, they always kind of had the same feel. And sometimes they would say the same thing with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
And whereas, like, the rest of the collection definitely felt like it was that was the brand. Yeah. And then there was another brand who had the license to it to make those items. Just how I always felt about that.
But I mean, I guess that's also like in a way, like if you are like if you like the certain brands, you know, watch department doesn't necessarily mean that you like the clothing. But you know, it's just it is all part of it.
Nicholas Vilplu, just say no to fashion watches. Yeah, I mean, look, if you like a watch, you like a watch. I'm not gonna enjoy whatever you enjoy. I'm not gonna poo-poo on that. But that was just always my perspective on it, because although sometimes I do, like, there are certain like designs that I remember as just kind of like, there was this skinny women's Gucci watch that I just remember a lot of girls having, and it was just like, I'm like. So, like, every now and then I'll be in a thrift store here in Japan and I see it and I'm like, I remember that watch. That was a very iconic watch. Yeah. But yeah. Zotillo Verdos writes, say no to fashion brands venturing into headphones and earphones. People should stick in their lane, I would say.
Yeah, that's weird. Headphones.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're partnering up with a proper brand,
it's like,
but
you know, sometimes, you know, jeans brands partner up with shoes brand and make denim.
Yeah,
shoes.
but sometimes you'll see like a fashion brand like have their own brand of, and it's like all they're doing is like going to like a white label, you know, electronics manufacturer and saying, can you just put my logo on this? And then it's just some kind of crappy version. It's just not worth it. Like, you know, you're paying a big premium on like the fact that it's a fashion item, but you're not really getting the quality out of the product. Like, if it was like Fostex and Gucci, okay, I would argue that at the very least you're going to get the quality of a Fostex headphone, but you might be paying a big premium on the other branding that goes with it, right? And if you like the design, then okay, you can say that there's a value in that. But sometimes you just see fashion electronics that are just white labeled of something else. So it just doesn't seem like a good value. Right. But to some people, the value is the logo. It is, hey, I've got the, you know, whatever headphones on. Okay, enjoy. You know, it's on you. So yeah. Chris Griffin writes, the YouTube series Gentleman's Gazette feels the same way about branded watches. Right. Okay, BD writes, do you have the Lookbook this week? They've been fun. Let's get into Lookbook adventures here. Let's pull it up on the screen. It's gonna adjust it so we can take a look here. Make sure that we're okay. Let's do it. Bam. Okay, so there we go. This is Naked and Famous Denim Spring Summer 2011 collection.
Look at that font.
Yeah, look at that font. This is it's a look back on over a decade ago.
2011 doesn't sound like that long ago to me. 2011 sounds like yesterday. Yeah. But looking at this, it just feels like a long time ago.
So let's go. So page 1, it's our lookbook. Okay, our models. So a lot of the photos you'll notice are recycled because it might we took this photo. The Black Power stretch.
I mean, we did go through 2010 lookbooks twice already, so we're gonna see a lot of the same.
So the core stuff, you're gonna see a lot of the photos again and again. So we're looking back at Skinny Guy here in Black Power stretch. We know this fabric. Gray stretch. Is this new? It must be new. So this must have been. I don't remember.
Gray stretch probably got introduced in this
probably here.
Then.
So
I didn't see it in.
I don't remember this jean so fondly.
No?
I just gray selvage. Yeah, gray stretch. I don't have much of a memory of this jean, to be honest with you.
This was still a thing when I joined Naked and Famous. So up until pretty recently, although that's already 9 years ago now.
Yeah. Next, red stretch.
Ooh, this one was,
I think I made these because I just wanted red jeans, and these didn't sell well. In fact, I don't remember what year. Maybe it's the next year after this. We did a pale blue and a red stretch, and a pale blue selvage and a red stretch selvage is coming up. We tried with red. I'll say we didn't, we tried. I don't know if we're going to ever go back to that well again, but we tried. This was also in the era of, hipster stuff, so I feel like red jeans were...
Yeah, I can see
They were out and about. Mm-hmm. They never caught on, hard, but I think I was seeing that. I wanted red jeans, so, we threw them in there. Alien Wayfarer. I have the red stretch selvage. I wonder if they're these. I bought them around 2014. No, the ones you have are different than these because these ones are not selvage. I know the ones you're talking about. That's what we were talking about earlier. Broken Twill selvage. You guys, we talked about these before. Natural Indigo. These are a core, although we don't designate it as core, and it's still in the collection today. Deep Indigo. Yeah, we talked about this last week. Nep Selvage. This is a new one for this season. Here, very, very basic dark indigo denim. Obviously, I don't have a close-up of these, but this would have had these little spotty neps all over. I do remember this fabric. I would say that at this era of raw denim, even just a basic nep would have been something different enough. That would have been whoa. I've not seen that. And we would have to tell the story because people didn't know what nep denim was. We really had to emphasize on how this is created and why this is special, why it's an old school kind of look.
Yeah.
Originally perceived as a defect, and that's why you don't see it in the denim world today, but we're making it in this old school way because we kind of appreciate these nuances and evolutions in fabric. So the nep denim was introduced for this season. Linen blend denim.
Oh, I've never seen this before.
These looked gray. They faded blue. I'm pretty sure we have a faded one of these in the showroom somewhere.
Okay.
Fantastic. It was also a double weave. And so there were two fabrics woven simultaneously, and the first fabric layer would break through, and then you'd get to the second fabric. What was the weight? 8 ounces.
Wow.
I'm pretty not I'm pretty sure. I know we made a shirt out of this as well. But this is probably more of a shirting fabric than a denim fabric or a bottoms fabric.
Stripes.
But yeah, this was a fun one to cuff, and it looked gray, faded to a very, very pleasant blue. At some point, I'll see if I can find this in the showroom somewhere. Some of these older ones might have got lost with time.
I've never seen this before.
Yeah. Indigo Selvage, still in the collection today. You guys know this jean. Gray Selvage, that's the gray version of that jean with the original red patch. This jean is being discontinued currently. Whatever we have left on the website is whatever is left, but it has a gray patch nowadays. Black Selvage, that's the black version of this jean right here. Deep Indigo, let's get into Selvage Chino.
Is this the first?
This is the first, I guess, appearance of the Selvage Chino. This is still in the collection. No, it's being... No, it might have been phased out already. Yeah. Okay. We ran this for years, and you're going to see this was so popular for us that the amount of colors that we ran in this fabric, a lot. And you'll start to see it more every single season. We used to do at least one or two new colors each season in this fabric. But yeah. Kenny Ingram has a question. What was the year of the Loveless collab with the printed patch? That was probably 2010. That was early. That was one of the first seasons with Naked and Famous. That was, in fact, it was 2000. It had to be in 2009 because it happened before I got there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it happened before I got there. So, it had to have been 2009. Or late 2008. But probably 2009. Nep Selvage here in the Weird Guy. So, another option. Linen Blend. Solid Black Selvage. Is this the first appearance of Solid Black?
Yeah, I don't think I saw that in the previous one.
I think this is the first appearance of Solid Black. 14 ounce. The current one is 13. It's either 13 or 13 and change.
13,
yeah. But the original fabric till now is a little bit lighter. We just felt it sold better. I don't know. This one was maybe a little too crispy for some folks, but nowadays it'd probably be okay. But I don't think we need to mess with the formula. Red Weft Selvage, first appearance of the Red Weft. We did a re-release of this particular fabric as the Deadstock Red Weft Selvage just this past fall winter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was literally from the same lot of this fabric. Like we had a couple of rolls that we found in the warehouse. So it was
years later.
Yeah. So like denim doesn't go bad.
That's true.
So we found some and we brought it back. So it had a jean that we hadn't released since 2011 back in the hand. I think we might have a few pieces left. It's plausible.
I don't know.
It's plausible.
So obviously we didn't see the 2008, 2009 line sheet.
Yeah.
But is this the first time we ever did like colored weft, you think?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. This is definitely the first colored weft jean. And this really blew a lot of people's minds. People seeing this for the first time, like Nep denim, that was like exciting for people. But a red weft denim, tremendously exciting for people. People never saw this before. And yeah. It's amazing how many things went from like we never saw it before to it's somewhat commonplace in just 10 years.
Yeah. But, you know, like, every time we talk about, like, colored weft, like, one idea that's... So, again, I think it goes back to the idea of, like, jeans being so specific, so, like, ingrained in a thing that, like, you know, if you think about it, the like, white weft is also a contrast inside.
That's
you know,
true.
you flip up the cuff, you certainly doesn't look the same as like the front of the fabric,
right?
And it's so contrasty. Oftentimes it's blue and white, like dark blue and white. yet like we just kind of focus on this like, oh wow, red weft, that's
Yeah.
a contrast, that's a crazy fabric. It's like, yeah, but jeans is already a crazy contrasty fabric.
But I guess we're just used to seeing things one way, and to see it differently, it especially for something that, you know, if you never saw this before, you're like, what? It's like, you know, you're seeing a unicorn, right?
Yeah, you accept things as is, and then it's just like, whoa, I guess you can change that.
That's it. Okay. Chris Griffin writes in the chat. Let's ask. This is a good question. Brandon in an interview said, "I wanted to make a cotton and milk blend selvage denim. It's possible, but the minimums to make the milk yarn are so high, we'd have to make 4,000, 8,000 jeans. Crazy to see that you've done it." Yeah. To be fair, we didn't have to. For when we made it, we didn't have to make 4,000 to 8,000 jeans. Perhaps the technology was a little bit more accessible for us to make that type of yarn from the original time. But that was definitely one of those things that Brendan always wanted to make. Spider silk is another one of these things, but like that is, the technology for that is not. There is a yarn, and it's a weird yarn, and it's like, it's synthesized in milk, with milk proteins. Like they injected like the DNA of spider, and like these goats make this milk, and they're able to like from the milk extract like these silky yarns from it.
It's like sci-fi world to me. It's
crazy.
insane.
And the yarn technically exists. I don't know if
how did the people come up with that idea?
Yeah.
Oh, let's inject this.
Yeah. However they did it, but like North Face made like a prototype jacket with it. I don't think it ever came to like production.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, just by like considering how many steps it takes to create that, it cannot be a mass production ready thing.
Technology. Yeah. It's not there yet. When and if it ever does become, we will be on it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's called like Cyber yarn, SYBER spy, something like that. Yeah. But it's crazy. And I also wanted to do a graphene kind of... Graphene is like the hardest material, and I wanted to somehow make a yarn with graphene. That was not... It's not possible yet. But one day. Anytime I hear about these new technologies, I'm always interested in that. Speaking of new technologies, you'll see one in this line sheet. Okay, so that was the red weft. Here it is, the stainless steel selvage. This was a crazy denim because it was crunchy. Like, not just regular crunchy, but if you crunched the fabric, it would stay, right? And that's because of these metal yarns, like actual metal yarns. So it was like this super, super fine wire that was wrapped with cotton, so that you could, use it. Fun fact about this denim was this was one of the first ever pocket flashers that got screwed up. So let's sort of. So this was the pocket flasher. This design style is an iconic Brandon design. But you see here at the bottom that you see the yarn for the metal, and then you see here. We were supposed to include like a little baggie of the yarn of the metal so you could actually touch it. It just never got done. Yeah. So it was like
a weird square.
Weird square. It's like it goes from metal to nothing. Like, whatever happened there. I
wonder what people thought when they saw that in stores.
I'm really curious to know. Okay, so that was that. Jordan Baker, do you know if the stainless steel selvage triggers metal detectors? I've heard yes, and I've heard no.
No way.
I don't really know. I've heard people who wear their elephant jeans to the airport and then have been like, they do that stupid scanner thing, and they're like, the denim is so thick that I guess it messes with it, and they're like,
really?
Yeah, we need to pat you down, and like when they're getting patted down, like, what is this that you're wearing? Like, this is.
Even when you pat down, like it's like you can't feel so much because it's so thick.
Yeah,
that's
so
funny.
But
yeah, there's no way this is gonna trigger.
I don't know. I don't know about no way, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like the buttons don't trigger.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's fully metal.
I don't know. I don't know how sensitive the equipment is.
Whenever when I broke my ankle really badly, and then for a year I had some metal things in my ankle, and it was pretty like sizable. It was a bunch of things with screws and stuff like that. And I was like really looking forward to going through Air Force, and it's just like, what do you have in your ankle? It's like, I got metal in my ankle. I was like picturing this, but never happened.
Yeah, I got some metal spikes in my ankle holding everything together. Okay, Kenny Ingram, were the front buttons branded in 2011? The answer is that the front buttons, all of the buttons and rivets were branded from the start. Okay, so the original Naked Famous jeans all had branded buttons, but the original manufacturer, I'll say that the first batch of buttons, it was mostly the waistband button, but they were of a subpar quality. They weren't the best quality. And we would often have the top button, because also we went from like a donut, like there's still donut style, but there's different ways that the tack works. So you can have like these tacks that are like, they just look like a little piece of metal, like a straight piece of metal, and then when it goes into the die, it squishes it down and it flattens it out, and that's supposed to hold the top part of the button in. And sometimes it wouldn't squish down properly, and so the top front part of the button would come off easily. Nowadays we have a two-prong, and then when you squish it down, the metal spikes bend in both directions, and it holds the piece in place, the top part of the button in place. So when we switched from those original buttons to the double prong, there was a period of time where we didn't have stock of branded buttons.
I see.
So
some of the earlier jeans floating around don't have
anything. They're just completely blank. And there was also a very small production run of Naked and Famous denim with rivets that were like the nipple style rivets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a very, very small production batch of those out there. And in the history of Naked and Famous, maybe one day in 100 years when...
The rarest.
Yeah, those would be quite rare. And I would, maybe if we're still around in 100 years, the aliens haven't taken over and, destroyed all the internet data, maybe some archivist will be watching these live streams and being like, oh, what can we learn about Naked and Famous?
Yeah, it always comes down to that. Like, to me, though, like, I kind of want, like, it's just when we finally have a Naked and Famous book or whatever, like, we would finally, gather everything and decide what's the most rarest and the most, hard to find pieces.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're at least while we don't have a book yet, at least we're documenting the stuff this way.
I guess
History,
so. But
we got blog
going
posts.
through this videos, it's a lot.
I guess so. I guess it's easier than piecing it together, going through minds and like...
Yes, that's true.
True. Okay. Chris Griffin, I've got quite a bit of notes for a book. For real, email me when you get to that, and I'll share notes. You want to write the book for us?
Ooh.
You want to write the book for us?
I trust you, because you mentioned something that was just insane. I
definitely trust you.
From back in the day.
All right. Back to the lookbook. Okay, so stainless steel denim. Let's, what do we got next? Broken Twills, we got the core, natural indigo, another core one. Black selvage, slim guy. Selvage chino. Yep. Nep selvage. I think those were the only new fabrics this season. So it must have been the linen denim, the Nep, the selvage chino, and the red weft. So just a couple of new fabrics. Here you go. The linen blend in the shirt. Lightweight chambray. Look at those back darts, man.
Yeah.
Whew. That's a slim shirt. Slim shirt. The white Oxford. So a lot of kind of core stuff that we remember. Okay,
Pale yellow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pink Oxford. Yeah, the vintage crews. These are still around. Those terrible cardigans. I'm going to skim over those cardigans.
What is this?
The hoodies. Yeah, we had these already. Yeah. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the same.
It's the same interior with that multicolor French terry
right.
in the inside. Skinny ties.
Of course.
Bow ties.
Maybe
it was a different picture. These seem to be new.
No. Last line sheet, we didn't have a bow tie. We talked about a bow tie because we had a slim tie.
All right, so this might be the first appearance of the bow ties. Color assorted. Because we were basically using end of rolls kind of stuff to make the ties, even with the shirting fabric. The way we sold these to our retailers were, if you order 20 or 30 bow ties, we're just going to send you 20 or 30 random bow ties. It's just whatever we got, whatever we're going to send out. But we actually had these indigo ones. These ones were quite nice. These ones, we had them for a long time. I think
you wore it.
Yeah,
for a while,
I definitely wore these for a little bit. I wore, I think, the skinny tie more.
Interesting. I remember you wearing bow ties a little bit more.
I definitely had a few. The thick belts, we know these guys. Wallets. Yeah, these were like hamburgers. They were so thick.
Without putting any cars in it.
Everything was thick back then. Everything needed to be substantial. That's interesting. And
tight.
This might be was this the first time we've seen card holders?
I think so, yeah.
So these are still these are still being made. Yeah. And the lighter cases, we still make these. Yep.
Now we have lighters.
Now we have lighters. Yeah. Now we have branded lighters. Branded Bic lighters. The bag. Did we have any other funky stuff that we made this season? There we go. The beer cooler. Yeah. So interestingly enough, so
this is not the one that I've seen.
Okay.
It's a different shape.
Maybe. So this one, so it was made by the same bag manufacturer. It's like a Montreal company. And so this front area here was supposed to have the salvage ID showing, but they screwed it up. And when we did so they did the sample, they didn't do it right, and we're like, okay, it needs to have it. And then when they did the production, they did it the same way, and they didn't cut the fabric properly. So there's actually no exposed selvage on this at all, despite it being a selvage denim. So it is a selvage denim, but the edge got cut off. So no exposed. And then we had a handful of these. I think we found a few years ago, and we might have just gave them away.
Yeah, but I feel like it was a different shape. Was there 2 versions of this?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, you could fit a 6-pack in here. That was the idea. And then the knits and the shuttle looms. Some great
photography
here, as you can see. Fading. This was Brandon's pair of broken twills that he faded. But yeah, raw 1 year. That was. Back in those days, this was as much information as you would get on,
It's also clearly not the same, lighting situation.
There was not, we were still trying to figure out all that stuff. So, that's it. And look, here's another typo. Fall, winter 2010. It wasn't fall, winter 2010. It was spring, summer 2011. A typo discovered just, more than a decade later.
This kind of things happens all the time, to this day.
There's just a lot of text.
It's nobody who's just going through all the things and being... I try to be the one, but even I'm like...
Right. Pedro, what year were the pocket flashers shown? I noticed there's no pocket flashers shown on this lookbook. So the pocket flashers are not designed in time for when we make our samples.
Yeah, and also the line sheets. Yeah. So these are meant for our retail partners to view and book the items. So even still to this day, our retail partners get to see the photos of the samples, but without the flashers.
Yeah.
Flashers are designed somewhere in between that time and then the production.
Yeah. Alien Wearfer, what are some of the unique one-off products that have only made it to prototypes? There's a bunch. there's
a lot that did not get made.
Next time we're in Montreal,
we should dig up.
We'll dig up a bunch of like cutting room floor jeans, basically.
Yeah. The one we keep talking about is the banana selvage.
Yeah, banana. There's also like this. Anyways, there's one that it was like multicolor.
Yes,
yeah,
I know.
It's
what
like
you're
brown
about.
and green and purple, and it's just like all these weird colors. Anyways, I knew it wouldn't make a good jean, and Brandon's like, no, let's. I'm like, and then we got the sample. I'm like,
hideous.
Oof, not a good one.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that would be fun to go through the piles that, and we should pull them. We should pull like some of the crazy ones.
We'll find them
just for archives.
Okay. Johnny Electra writes, jeans with brown weft, upcoming collections. Well, we have one currently.
Yes.
With the double dirty
fade
selvage. So check that one out. Okay. We went through Lookbook. We answered questions. We got to get through previews because we got some good previews today. I know. I mentioned at the start that your wallet is gonna hate me. But what can I do?
And 2
what can I
hours
do?
later, we're finally
we're gonna
showing
do it. So after long wait, you know what MIJ 13 is.
We didn't know that.
What about we knew what MIJ 11 was? What the heck is MIJ 12? Well, now.
Yeah, we didn't forget. We just wanted the MIJ 13 to be the black one.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
So let's do it. We've got it. Here it is. MIJ 12. Super slubby.
We don't have a name for it.
I don't have a name for it yet. But it is more of a green casted denim. It's hard to see in this light. And it's kind of on its own. You may not see it. But if I show you compared to Okayama Spirit 10, you might be able to see it a little bit better. But it is a little bit more. I think it's more clear here that it is more of a green casted toned denim. But just insanely slubby, full of texture. And here's the best part about it. I don't know if this is the best part about it, but I really like it. Check out this. Look at that super tiny selvage ID. All red. It looks great. Super tiny. My voice has got to go high to explain it. Like the smell. This is like mill. Like this smells like the mills.
Like indigo.
Super slubby on the inside there. You can see the texture is just crazy. You got that beautiful red, and then there's the green casted slubbiness of this denim is fantastic.
I like this subtle green cast because this is just, one thing that I learned when I started getting into this denim world was that like the indigo is, even within the blue, you have the green blue and the red blue. Like I knew that, but I was, things like that actually like was a big culture shock in terms of like Western people didn't see that.
Yeah.
Even when the jeans are like sitting next to each other, they didn't see it as, oh, this one's more green, this one's more red. I think that's one of those things where like you were pointed out and it was like, oh, okay, maybe I see that.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't something like
you tune your eye to it after a while.
Yeah.
Especially when you've seen as many blue fabrics as we have, because they're not all just blue.
Yeah.
And you can see the nuance in the color, and like this kind of goes. I mean, this speaks to what raw denim lovers love about raw denim is that it's more than just a pair of blue jeans. Like the fact that this is just a slightly different color means the world to like denim lovers like me and a lot of you. Like, so I'm excited for this one. It's not as green. Like we're gonna drop the green cast, like the MIJ 3, 4, 3, 4. That was a very green casted denim.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful green cast, and we are
re-releasing it as in the main collection for fall winter.
Yeah, so
23.
made in Canada version. Yeah. So it doesn't have all the flares of MIJ, but
Yeah.
the price point is
It'll also be sanforized.
Yeah.
It'll also be sanforized. But that greenish tone color is very prevalent. It looks pretty green.
Yeah.
Whereas here,
It's subtle.
It's much more subtle, and you can when you compare it to like maybe a more red denim, a red indigo, you can see it's just a little bit more on the greeny side of things. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. Weight wise, what are we on these? I don't remember right offhand.
Like 14 or something?
Yeah, 14, 15, somewhere in that range. We'll confirm that for you. And then also, we've got the Type 2. So this is going to be available. This will be the first dark indigo Type 2. Those buttons are... I'm not even going to try. The buttons haven't been worked in yet. But we've got that as well. And then we have the Trucker Type 3 as well. So a lot of options here.
Yeah, we got options.
yeah.
And here we will have True Guy as well. So
Yes.
super weird, easy, true, and 2 denim jackets. So it's 6 fits.
Yeah. I wanted to expand out MIJ a lot. And this is the way it's going to be. So you're going to have options. And so if you want something in that like upper echelon of fabric and construction, I'm here to dominate.
What is an echelon?
Like an area,
Oh, okay.
I think. That level. We're gonna for the people who haven't been convinced about Naked and Famous yet, I'm gonna force them to. I'm pulling the Roman Reigns of like, recognize me. This is, if you're a wrestling fan, the MIJ collection has always been about like maximum everything. Like we're not pulling anything back. Like in Naked and Famous, we want to create a certain price point. There are certain details and things like that we don't include, just to kind of keep it at a certain realm. Like, and sometimes these details they're nice, but they're not like functionally, like they're not things that, like, unless you're like you're really looking for these details because you're a fanatic fan, big fan of these kinds of things. Like, they're not, whether they're there or not, I don't think it'll take away your enjoyment of those jeans. But for those who are like particularly particular about their clothes and they want to see all these construction details, okay, I like those. Don't get me wrong, I like those details. But like for me, if they're there, they're not there, it wouldn't necessarily change my enjoyment of the garment. But I do enjoy them when they are there. Don't get me wrong. I see, like, if I see a garment that is constructed to like the top level of anything, I can appreciate it, and then I know, like, if I'm paying for it, that's what I'm paying for. I'm paying for all of these crazy things that are going on. So that's what's going on with MIJ in terms of construction. And then in terms of fabric, it's just like everything. Put it all in there. Let's just go. Let's make it as crazy as possible. Let's make it the best.
The most like texture, the most like beautiful, most hairy, whatever. And I also really do like in our room, like we have the Unbranded brand, which is like, we call it like entry gateway drug.
Great entry point into raw denim.
And in terms of the price point, we do offer like, a good variety of fits and fabric options. And, that's where you can maybe decide if you're into this or not. Just because it's a available price, like easily reachable price point. And, I think that there's a place for that. We don't do anything, exciting or like different all the time, but we just have it there available. Yeah. And then Naked and Famous is our, main playground where we get to experiment. And we also want to make sure that, like, we have jeans for everybody in Naked and Famous. Like, we have jeans for all kinds of, like, people.
From lightweight to stretchy, to the heaviest.
All of that.
Everything.
And then, like the whole point of that is that like that is the part. Even though we still like focus on raw denim, which is a small market, we have like reach that can reach really wide.
Yeah.
And we get to have fun and we get to do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then MIJ is just also like just another part. We call it Naked and Famous, but it's still Naked and Famous, but it is kind of like, from the Unbranded to Naked and Famous. It's a very different playground where we have, just focused on a certain aspects of raw denim, Japanese denim, and just I like that very clear distinction of all of our universe. You know?
So there you have it, everybody. The Husky Raccoon. Love the feel of the MIJ buttons. Such a small thing, but they feel so nice, right?
Yes.
And that's part of not skimping out on anything.
Right.
Like even the buttons, we're very particular about how they're made, where they're made, and the function of them. So yeah, like even on the denim jackets, like we have the back like tabs here.
Yeah.
Like these, we used to put these on like the Made in Canada ones, but I do find them to be not particularly functional. Like, nobody has. Not nobody, but like nobody. This. Yeah, everyone just leaves it. Yeah. So I removed it from the jackets because like I just find them to be,
Yeah, and also part of that was like when we're adding pockets, the cost was
a cost
gonna be,
thing too. So, but on MIJ, look, this is a traditional, detail. It's going in.
Yeah.
Whether it's functional or useful to you, it's not really the point. The point is that we are going to make this as like technical as possible, and so we're not skimping on anything. Another thing some people may not notice is like the two-tone stitching.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like, okay, this is a good place to show off.
Like, you may not even notice it, but there are two different color threads.
Yeah,
and it gives it. I think it gives it more of a 3D kind of pop. But
yeah, I don't know where this came from.
Yeah, this idea that it makes it look 3D.
No, it's just that the idea of using two tones. Like, was it something from like really vintage days?
Yeah, I don't know either.
No idea.
But
I do like it.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that on mainline Naked and Famous.
No.
But you do find it on the MIJs. So, yeah. These are going to be available in the fall, probably more around holiday time. MIJ 12 and 13 coming out this year. We got to get to work on 14, 15, 16, 17.
We are working on 14 and 15, so we know.
That is true. Next, spring 24. Yeah, spring 24 MIJs.
Coming.
Yeah, so, hey, the MIJ collection is growing.
And those are some exciting options.
And like, I just think that the fact that our audience is growing so much that, we have enough people who are interested in this, product category.
A lot more people are more educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah.
I think the more you know, maybe you want to, like, not necessarily, but a lot of people probably just want to take the next step.
The other day I saw a comment about our MIJ jeans. And it was just like, somebody was like, well, I'd rather buy it from like a Japanese brand. Like, I don't see, I'm like, so your criticism wasn't that the product wasn't like up to par or anything. Like, it's just like one of these haters. And it's just like, I'm like, so your criticism of the brand is that we're not Japanese, despite. Or how long have you been Japanese? I'm just a question. I just want to know.
I would rather not say. It's way too long for me to admit. But
so, you for a long time.
For a long time.
And what country do we reside in?
We live in Japan.
Okay,
yes.
So
Well,
I'm like, what is it about us that makes, like, do you design these products?
Yes. Participate in that.
So I'm like, what is it? Like, could you just? I would much rather sometimes with the criticism that somebody just be like, I don't like them. That is a much more honest answer than someone trying to rationalize it
Yeah.
Through
I
poor
mean,
rationalization.
We're not saying that we're a
Yeah.
Japanese
Yeah.
brand. We're
Yeah.
completely
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Canadian brand.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like where the brand is from, like I have a, okay, the Unbranded brand is a Canadian brand.
Yes.
Still, but it's not made in Canada. It has
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very strong distinction between
Yeah.
like a made in Canada brand like Naked
Yeah.
and Famous
Yes.
and then Unbranded. It's just and such like that we are still a Naked and Famous is
Yeah.
still a Canadian brand, but our
But the
MIJ
merging,
collection
yeah.
is completely like Japanese fabrics, Japanese, sewing, Japanese, everything. So it's like we are more Japanese than some of the other Japanese brands. So I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, I've seen Japanese brands making things overseas and things like that.
Most
Yeah,
Japanese brands
yeah.
make things
Right.
overseas.
So it's just a weird. I'm just like, I read that comment and like I don't.
This idea
Yeah.
of like the brand has to come from
Yeah.
a certain country
Yeah.
for it to be a proper whatever.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's very
Like,
odd.
It is very weird.
But yeah, I read that one. I'm just like, what? And I just wanted. Anyways, I wasn't gonna engage, but I was just like, that one was just like, I'm like, that was like a drive-by. I was just like, what is this comment? I'm like, you don't know nothing, and you're just putting this out. And that, I guess my problem is that, when you do see these types of things written on forums and things like that, it's like, nobody can distinguish the fool from the person who's educated in this respect, right? Like, a comment is a comment is a comment. Like, from a casual glance, unless you know the usernames and their history and this and that, a casual glance at a comment like that is just defamatory in such a way that, like, you could be causing harm that you don't even. And maybe that's their, like, to be fair,
I don't know.
there are people who genuinely want to cause harm. Like, they see success and they look, with success comes you're gonna get people who are anti that. That's part of it. But
like just saying that, like, oh, I would rather buy from Japanese brand. I don't think in itself it's a deflammatory.
actually,
comment.
I kind of softened the term. I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, I don't want to put
Yeah.
anyone on blast specifically, but
Okay.
I did soften the language a little bit there.
All right.
But yeah, it's just odd. Just odd. But yeah, like my problem is, like, if we're in this world, we're in raw denim, and like our success is everyone's success. Raw denim, more people wearing raw denim, enjoying raw denim. Whether you like our brand or don't like our brand, I mean, you have to admit that we've introduced a lot of people to this world, and I think
we try to include everybody
Yeah.
in a way. Like
Yeah.
we're not trying to exclude
Yeah.
the people. Much like there's a lot of brands in our world that try to exclude people.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, this is not for you.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point in that?
Yeah, what is the point of that? We want everyone to enjoy raw denim in any way, shape, or form. So we make a lot of different. Anyways, you guys already know this, but yeah, sometimes I see these off comments, and I'm just like, man, we're just trying to make jeans. We're just trying to make jeans. That's all.
Yeah. That was a mini rant.
Mini rant.
Or medium-sized rant.
Okay. Kenny Ingram, any good just a quick question emails recently? That's probably the student, project questions. That was probably the. But I think that was a legitimate type of quick question kind of thing. Stacey Shepard, I like that Naked Famous is Canadian, is selling. I like that Naked Famous is Canadian. It's a selling point for me. I like that MIJ because they are made to 40s, 50s build style. How often do you see Canadian jeans? For me, it makes them worth it. Right. You certainly don't see other Canadian-made jeans out there.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. As far as I know, we're the last ones making jeans in the country. We are certainly the last like actual fully jeans factory. Now there might be other factories that make clothes and maybe they make jeans from time to time, but like as a day-to-day operation, like we are a jeans factory. We are operating the last one. Yeah. And like last ones, as in we have 2 factories that are doing
sad,
that.
But we're still here. So as long as we're here, it'll be okay.
So, and it's all thanks to you guys and all your support.
Sure.
Snowy is getting a little tired here. He's always a little tired. All right, I think we're gonna leave it there.
All right.
No,
we don't have any snacks
time
today. Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find good snacks for snack time.
But we'll keep an eye out. We gotta leave the house at some point this weekend. See what we can find. All right, everybody. Have yourselves a good weekend. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with us. If you're watching on the live stream, thanks for tuning in. Do something nice for yourselves. Do something nice for somebody. Tell your mother you love her. And we'll see you guys next week right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. Friday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. Live stream. Naked and Famous Denim. The biggest, the greatest raw denim live stream in the entire universe.
Ooh.
The entire universe. I dare anyone to challenge me on that one. We'll take you on. All right.
Yeah.
That's
With
it.
the proof.
With proof.
Bring a proof.
Bring proof. I'll show you our stats. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
See you
guys.
soon.